Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? In case you're new around here and don't already know, yesterday we discussed what I believe to be the top 5 best games of 2024. So today, we're gonna go over my top 5 worst games of the year. Now I'm not gonna lie, this was actually a rather difficult list to make. 2024 was an incredible year for gaming with tons of bangers, and I didn't really play many bad games. This list actually made me realize that maybe I'm being a bit too selective in what I review, and I need to try to review a lot of different types of games. Not saying I need to play more bad stuff because it looks bad, but I tend to play games that look cool to me and I know I'm gonna like, so I need to try to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and play some different stuff, which I also think will help us get better at reviews in general. Hopefully. But with that being said, I'm done rambling here, folks. Let's just jump straight into things with our top 5 worst games of 2024. Kicking things off at number 5, we have Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws released on August 30th and is a new action-adventure game developed by Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment. This is a game you've played a million other times, whether it's Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, you name it, except this has a different Star Wars coat of paint. The only real reason that it's here though is because there weren't a lot of bad games this year, at least that I played, and this was just mid enough to take that 5th spot. While I did enjoy a lot of the Star Wars elements and the Sabacc card game, the actual gameplay experience they offered got tiresome pretty quick. Pretty much every mission is the exact same routine of breaking in somewhere to steal something, and this can either be done in stealth or all out guns a-blazing. The first couple hours can feel fun and new, but once you get into the groove of the game for a while, it starts to get boring quick. I really can't stress to you enough that the only true joy I got out of Star Wars Outlaws was the Sabacc card game. That had so much work put into it and was actually a pretty nuanced, elaborate game that I would 100% play if there was an IRL set for it. But other than that, I could care less about everything else. Next at number 4, we have X-Defiant. X-Defiant finally released on May 21st, and let me just clear the air on something real quick. Alright, I like X-Defiant. I think it's a good game, which might sound rather counterintuitive since it's an entry on our top 5 worst games list, but the story of X-Defiant is a bit more complex than that. I honestly think this game just got done dirty as hell. It had a very promising future, but could not stop repeatedly shooting itself in the foot. For those of you who don't know, this game was originally announced all the way back in 2021 with no release date. They just continually dropped beta after beta until finally pulling the trigger on a projected release date of October 2023. But after missing this window, they were once again pushed back to a final release date of May 21st, 2024. There are various different reasons why the game kept getting pushed back, but most importantly, they couldn't get this damn game certified for Xbox and PlayStation because of, and I quote, compliance and functionality bugs, which relates to console-related stuff like achievements and friends lists. At a certain point, it just felt like this game was never going to release. I played every beta they dropped, but each time I got less and less interested. You can only be excited for something to come out for so long before it's like, alright, what's going on here? And once it did finally come out, it felt like I had already been playing the game for years, so it wasn't exciting or new at all. I could just finally play it whenever I wanted to, not on designated weekends. This isn't where our story ends though. As we just mentioned, X-Defiant finally hit the public in May of 2024, but Ubisoft has announced in December of the same exact year that they will unfortunately be shutting down the servers for good this June. I genuinely think if this game would have released a few years earlier, it would be alive and well today, or at least would have survived from then until now. It wouldn't have had this short of life cycle. This game just wasted too much time, resources, and hype in its beta stage. To sum this all up, I wouldn't say X-Defiant is one of the worst games of the year per se, but it is an incredibly tragic story to say the least, and definitely one of the biggest gaming disasters we had in 2024. I know this is like a very brief, quick synopsis of what happened, but you could honestly make an entire video on the downfall of X-Defiant. I mean, it is just tragic. Next up at number 3, we have Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. This entry right here hurts my heart, folks. For those of you who don't know, this was actually one of my most anticipated games of 2024. So I say this with a heavy heart, but Stalker 2 is complete garbage. This game was under development since the prehistoric age of man, and it feels like that in every aspect. This game was developed by GSC Game World, and they finally managed to get it released on November 20th, 2024. For starters, you just play as an errand boy all game, walking back and forth from places to pick up items and drop them off somewhere else. Along the way, you also encounter enemy NPCs and monsters to fight, but the gunplay just feels old and boring as hell. Think of quite literally any action story FPS game made before 2010, and I promise you it has a more riveting story and gameplay than Stalker 2. Fallout New Vegas. pretty solid gameplay comparison. It was released in 2010, and I swear to you it is better than Stalker 2. This game is also an overflowing cesspool of lag and bugs. Now I will say I played this on PC, so that might have played a factor in the issues I was experiencing, but I've heard from other people that it feels terrible on console too. I haven't personally tried it on Xbox, but from my time playing, it was horrendous. The screen constantly tears and looks choppy as hell, and the way the map looks, it just all kind of blends together whenever you're moving. I know there's a passionate group of Stalker fans out there that actually like what this game has to offer. They let me know that in my review, and that's all good, you know, you do you. But we cannot deny that this game, that has been cooking in the kitchen since the very first Thanksgiving, has some serious glaring issues. Next at number 2, we have Concord. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not at all familiar with this game personally. I knew of it when it first came out, but I never got around to playing it, and now I never will. Even though I didn't play Concord, I felt like it should be on the list because it was actually one of the most popular games of the year, solely because it was so bad and shut down so quickly. I mean, you can't try seriously talking about the worst titles of the year without bringing it up. Concord released on August 23rd of 2024 and was a multiplayer first-person hero shooter developed by Firewalk Studios and published by Sony Interactive. There are honestly a million different reasons why this game failed. Zero marketing, oversaturation of hero shooters, poor hero and game design, you name it. But probably the biggest reason this game failed was because they tried to sell it for $40 in a market that's flooded with free FPS games that are a million times better. Now, games shut down all the time. This industry is no stranger to that. We just talked about a different game, X-Defiant, that's going through the same thing. But what makes the Concord situation special is that this game didn't even last a whole month. No, it didn't even last 3 weeks. This game was only on the shelves for 2 weeks when Sony decided, yeah, enough is enough, and pulled the plug. Like I said earlier, I never got a chance to fully experience this bad boy for myself, and now that it's gone, I'm almost kind of sad. I can't be the only one that has this Concord FOMO. I wish I could have experienced that for myself firsthand, but maybe it's for the best we didn't. Finally, folks, we have made it to our glorious top number 1 entry for the worst game of 2024. And without further ado, our winner is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. This right here actually took a lot of consideration. I knew right away after playing this that it would make the list, but I wasn't sure if it would be number 1 or number 5. In case you don't remember from my review or you never saw it, I called this game the best worst game of 2024, and I still stand by it today. My friends and I constantly joke about going back to play it, saying how outlandish and crazy that sounds, and of course we never do, but I feel like we all secretly want to. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League released on February 2nd and was developed by Rocksteady Studios, who's most notable for creating the Batman Arkham games. To sum this game up best, it's about a 10-hour experience where you spend about 7 of those hours in menus or watching cutscenes, and when you finally actually get to playing the other 3 hours, you're just traversing back and forth from one side of the map to the other, doing the same 3 or so different missions on repeat. But like I said in my review, this game has a serious fun bad movie syndrome going on. The core gameplay and story itself is pretty stale and boring, but if you get a couple of the boys together and some brews flowing, then you can find some pretty enjoyable things to point at and make fun of. It was also just recently announced by Rocksteady that they will be ending live service for this game this January. So that makes it 3 total AAA studio games that all came out and sunset in the exact same year, which is insanely rough to see. And with that being said, folks, I think that's gonna about do it here for our list today. Sorry if this all seemed like brief and short. I wasn't trying to get into a full review synopsis for each game, but if you do want to see a review for each one, I'll go ahead and put links in the description below. If you have played any of these yourself or have any opinions you'd like to share, feel free to drop them in the comment section too. I'd love to hear it. And if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Your boy would really appreciate it. We're working on a top 10, maybe top 15 most anticipated games of 2025 list, so if that's something you're into, be on the lookout for that. But alrighty fellas, take it easy. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.